So like you said, my name is Joey Sanchez. I was born and raised in Sugar Land, Texas. Houston was my hometown, but I found Jacksonville University about 15 years ago as a soccer player, and I love this city. This city has something to it that you just can't, I don't know, you can't put your finger on it. But I've been in Houston for the last 15 years, and we've been building a startup and investment ecosystem. So like Matt said, if you want to check out Ion Houston, the Ion district, I have a QR code on the bottom right-hand corner if you want to get your phone out and scan the slide here. But around 2016, we had one of those pivotal moments that the last speaker was just speaking about in Houston. It was the Amazon Headquarters 2 search across the country. And Houston likes to pride itself in having a oil and gas ecosystem, the world's largest medical center in the world, and then NASA Johnson Space Center. But Amazon said no. They said that Houston wasn't good enough. And I want to translate what Houston has done to Jacksonville, because it's very similar cities. Very spread out geographically on I-10. I actually just drove that from Houston to here, 14 hours, with a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 8-month-old. And yeah, we made it in the torrential downpour 3 days ago. It was amazing because I wanted to be here with you guys. I wanted to be at this conference. I wanted to see the people of Jacksonville's ecosystem. And you're here. It's a very monumental thing to show up and to be present. And so what I'm going to share with you is the strategy and how we built the tech ecosystem. And this presentation was actually built in 2017. So you'll see where you guys are at right now. And then I'll end it with where we are at in Houston in 2024. And it is a thriving ecosystem of people, because people are what drive innovation. Robots are a byproduct of innovation. AI is a byproduct of people. But really, it's the people in this room. So do me a favor real quick. Look to your right. Look to your left. Do you know the person next to you? No? Go ahead and say hello. I'm going to give you 1 minute to say hi to the person next to you, so you can go ahead and make a connection. Do you know the guy behind you? Excellent. Took less than a minute, but guess what? That is the key to innovation, is connection, is collisions. And so I'm going to give you the formula. This is the formula that was crafted. We brought on Accenture to develop this idea, and I want you to take a picture of it. I almost want us to chant it since we're in the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. TCRI, TCRI. This is it. It's simple. You don't have to, it doesn't take anything else, I promise you. I've seen it in action. All right, so let's digest this real quick. T is for talent. You are talented. Talent lives here. Jacksonville is full of talented engineers, developers, coders. Talent lives in the city. They may live in the beaches, they may live in St. John's on the west side, and so they're not connected. Think about that. Today, throughout this conference, we have created density in time and space so that you can connect with the person next to you. Where do you go to serendipitously run into someone in Jacksonville? You're in your car, you're going from home to work. You don't necessarily get to run in. Yeah, I'm going to backtrack that. You do have a place where you run into people here. The beach. You notice how you notice people there, and you're like, oh, hey, how you been? Connection matters. So talent times collisions, connections. The density of talent. That's what a central business district is about, is bringing people together. That's why we have downtowns, is because you need to bring that density, that serendipity into a central location. We have to be physically together. I understand Zoom is a great tool and Microsoft Teams is great, but there really is no element that replaces the in-person connection. And so the talent, the diversity of startup, just like Matt was talking about, diversity is important. Diversity of thought, of age, of gender, of race. The collisions, that's where the collaboration kind of forms. And I'm going to talk about the different areas of collision. How many of you identify as a startup or an entrepreneur here today? Awesome. How many of you are in the venture capital space? Entrepreneurs, look around. There you go. They'll fund you. And then corporate innovators are also part of this. You have to have your corporate innovators, the teams that are driving with budgets that outsize any startup at the current moment. And then you also have to have universities. We heard about UF, Jacksonville University, UNF. These universities are the future talent pipeline, right? So you need that talent and you need them to collide. And universities are a great space for people to collide because that's why the university was built, was close proximity to your fellow students, to your professors, to the staff. Then you have to have resources. The resources are those different types of capital. You all know about the financial capital. That's what fuels businesses. It's what puts gas in your tank. But it's also the human capital, right? You have to have people in order to drive businesses forward. You can't go it alone, right? A one-man team doesn't get very far. You have to have the human capital. And then you have to have the idea capital. Where do you go to get your good ideas? That's what I'm exploring here in Jacksonville. I want to find, where do you go to get inspiration? Where do you go when you have that aha moment? Because they're here. It's when your mind is clear. It's when you're present. It's when you're talking to somebody and you realize, ooh, they've got something. Wait, I've got a friend that can help you take it to the next level. And then finally, impact. Impact matters, right? We're not just building the next widget. It's the next widget that can change the world, can change the future for good. And so if you haven't taken a picture of this slide, go for it. Because TCRI, if you can embed that into your code, into your human being, like who you are, I promise you this will go faster and further than you ever thought. Next, you have to take a full landscape of the ecosystem as it is today. This was Houston's in 2016. We had one venture capital firm. It was called Mercury Fund. Now they're on fund number 5, and they've invested in startups all across the country. And in Houston and in the middle of America, we have a big problem. Everyone goes to the West Coast or the East Coast, and they just fly over the middle of the country to invest. And so we've noticed, how many VC deals are in Houston? How many companies from our different industries? You have to take a stock, an inventory of everything you currently have, and then you can see it grow. In 2016, we had 3 goals in order to build our tech ecosystem. It was $2 billion in venture capital investment to our Houston-based startups, 10,000 tech jobs, and we were trying to be a top 10 startup ecosystem in the country. All of those seemed so lofty at the time that we didn't believe we were going to make it. But in 2021, we hit $2.1 billion in venture capital. We had 10,000 tech jobs as of 2020 that dropped after COVID, but we're ramping it back up. And then the top 10 ecosystem, actually, we weren't a top 10 ecosystem, but we've become the 3rd rising ecosystem via the Startup Genome Project in the country. So this ecosystem's got the fuel and it's moving fast. And again, we're energy transition, medical devices to med tech. And then the aerospace industry is just turning over instantly underneath our feet. We also identified every single startup in town. How many startups are in Jacksonville? Does anybody know? No clue. You know how we found these original 41, exits and IPOs? We started reviewing all the data, all the information, but then we started to go knock on doors, ask people, hey, do you have a startup? Oh, what is it classified to be a startup? Do you have a business, a bank account, an EIN number? Do you have a technology you're trying to get out there? Are you part of an accelerator, an incubator? We had 5 startup development organizations in 2017, and those are accelerators, incubators, tech hubs, or programs that aid startups' growth. In 2022, that ballooned to over 48, and it's because the density started to happen. And then we also went and did the work across the country, across the world, to see what good tech hubs look like, what good startup and innovation ecosystems look like. All the work was built. And that's what I'm looking to bring to you guys today is, whether you're Boston or the Bay Area, those are those anchors. Those happened on accident. There was no startup ecosystem or purposeful. It just right place, right time. Then you have your cool places, right? You have your Denvers, your Portlands, Berlin. I put Jacksonville on a cool place. You've got the best weather. You've got the best beaches. It's a great vibe here. But you also have metropolitan, right? So New York, Chicago, London. You have the best of both worlds, right? The structural strength and the proactive efforts. And then finally, the pivotal industry cities. That's where I saw Houston. Energy was dying. The oil and gas town. We heard that over and over and over. Now, every Fortune 500 that is headquartered in Houston has a robust energy transition team. So we have anchored our efforts on that, which is our strengths. What are Jacksonville's strengths? You just heard it, fintech. You just heard medical, sports. What are the other strengths that you guys can create together through this competition? So those are, the Accenture 2017 ideas, and then we put them into practice. And I've been fortunate to be a part of that from Greater Houston Partnership, which is our Jack's Chamber in Houston. And then we spawned off an organization in 2017 called Houston Exponential. So the City of Houston, Innovation Task Force, and the Chamber of Commerce came together and created Houston Exponential, and I had the fortunate time to work there. And inside that time, I created an event very similar to JVC called Houston Tech Rodeo. We're known for our rodeo. It's the world's largest rodeo, but it's all about our history and our heritage, and I wanted it to be about our future and our identity of tech and diversity and startups. And so that happened February 28th through March 6th of 2020. Great timing, because then the world shut down literally the next day. And we had a robust, swirling ecosystem of talent, times collisions, times resources, times impact, all coming together in one place at one time. We had over 2,000 attendees and 35 different events in 1 week, anything from a happy hour at a brewery to a startup competition to presentations. And that's why these events matter. So, guys, the playbook is here, right? Talent times collisions times resources times impact creates innovation. But that's hard, isn't it? It's hard to get together. It's hard to connect, or so we thought. So now I'm going to go into the next phase of this presentation and share with you how easy it is. At the beginning, you all connected with each other and you shook hands. And then what's your next question? Possibly, oh, where do you work? Don't ask a startup where they work, because they don't know it yet. They are building their company from the ground up. Asking them where they work is almost, it's like, I'm building it. I work for me. I am the product. And that's what I realized in the next part of this presentation I want to share with you, is how to build an ecosystem on purpose and for good. And so what do you need for this ecosystem? What do I want you to take away, other than that formula, to make this the best possible day? And it's your purpose. I got to ask a few of you this morning what your purpose is in life. And boy, changed the conversation instantly. It wasn't about technology. It was about your family. It was about something deeper, something more important than just today. It's about legacy. It's about connection. And so if you have a notepad, I want you to write down your purpose. And if you haven't thought about your purpose in a long time, I want you to figure out what your why is. Why are you here today? Lead your conversations today, tomorrow, and into the future with your why. I'm telling you, the why is in the future, so we will be able to meet there. I can't meet you in the past. But if you have something that's driving you into the future, we can get there together. Other than your purpose in this ecosystem, you need connection. True connection. If you think about the biological sense of an ecosystem, from the sun to the soil to the seed, that's all a connection. The ecosystem is connection. And what are startups called when they are getting funding? Seed stage startups. What is it, a job of an ecosystem, whether you're in media, whether you're at a university, whether you're in a corporation? It is to foster those seeds. That's everyone's job in the ecosystem, and connection is key. So if you have your purpose and you share your purpose with one another, then your connection comes next, right? It's easier to connect with people when you drive with your why, when you have that purpose in you. You need energy. I'm happy to say I'm from Houston, Texas, because it's the energy capital of the world. But I didn't realize that gasoline just gets you from point A to point B faster. Have you ever tried to drive somewhere and run out of gas? Has anybody ever run out of gas in their car? Wow, I'm not alone. Good. The most recent time I've run out of gas was driving down the street, and I'm on E. I'll get to the next gas station, and guess what? I didn't get there. So I had to pull off into a parking lot, and it happened to be at an accelerator location called Greentown Labs, which is the largest clean tech accelerator in the country. They have their second headquarters in Houston, and I just sat there kind of laughing, saying, I have no more gasoline. I guess Greentown Labs is the place to be, right? Energy can't be created or destroyed. This is part of the physics of it, right? It can only be transferred and transformed. So when you're in an ecosystem and you're caring for these seed stage startups and you're caring for each other as humans, you have to bring energy to it. There's no other way. Like, the energy that you possess will be transferred and transformed as an ecosystem together. In a room like this, energy is here, right? You can feel it. You can feel the excitement, the possibilities, the future. And energy is really where it's at. Because if you're in a conversation with someone and you ask them their purpose in life, and they're like, I don't know. Or you're trying to connect with them, and they're just not connecting, there's no energy. There's no ability for the ecosystem to go forward. So keeping that TCRI, putting in the work, putting in your purpose, connecting with one another, and bringing energy to a situation really does create that thriving groundswell that you're looking for. I heard it this morning, and I think it's going to be a constant theme, is that you're looking for it, but you realize that it's already here. The people in this room, the startups that rose their hand, the investors that rose their hand, this is the place to be in order to take it to the next level. But what does this all mean? Like, I think I've been saying this, but have you heard it yet? It needs to be about the future. When I say goodness, the future is the only thing we haven't created yet, right? We are all here today because Matt Chang invited us. No, above and beyond that, we're here today because we want to change the future. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't want to change the future. But people can change the future in a bad context. You have to have the goodness and the ability to change the future for good, right? Imagine in your head, real quick, take this moment. You can close your eyes. Think about what the next 10 years looks like in Jacksonville. Visualize it. I can see it. You got UF here, right? You got a thriving ecosystem. You have tech meetups all over the place. You have coffee, meetings with others. You're creating opportunities. You're creating jobs. You're creating everything yourself. It's kind of a beautiful visualization because it's not created yet. And who's going to do it? Oh, no, it's your job. No, it's your job. It's all of our jobs. So visualize that future. Create your mission, your vision, your goals for the future, and make sure it's good. Because we all do this for our businesses, right? You create your strategy and your roadmap for your businesses. Have you ever done that for your family? Have you ever created that vision and mission, goal setting, had an offsite retreat with your family, with your friends, with your community? That is what is the opportunity for today. So I'm here to really get you going in the fact that today's only going to happen today, right? And then tomorrow hasn't happened yet. So be present, be available, be open to conversations, because I promise you something magical is going to happen today. It already has. You might get a table for your startup and you only have drawings. The hallway pitch is something that's beautiful. But there's beauty in this because, honestly, because you matter. And if you don't think that, you wouldn't be here right now. And think about all of those people in your life that don't know this yet, don't know that they matter. Ecosystems need you. So you are the most important part of the ecosystem. It's not the startups. It's not the investors. It's not the corporate innovators. It's you. And if you don't show up, nobody will. And if you don't introduce somebody to somebody else, nobody will do it. It is up to you and you alone. So after today, after tomorrow, and you go home with this idea of what a startup ecosystem looks like in Jacksonville, you just did it. The visualization, I saw some of you actually close your eyes and realize that the future is going to be bright. It's going to be bright here in Jacksonville because of you. And so, guys, thank you so much for the opportunity. If I could leave you again with the formula of TCRI, but then enhance that with the idea of energy, your purpose, goodness, and you. It really is what takes these ecosystems to the next level. It's about people. So, thank you guys. Appreciate you.